All right. It has been a day. We obviously know what's going on with Brock Purdy, but now we got Deebo Samuel clapping back at TO. I'm sure you probably heard it. If you haven't, we'll show you the sound clip right here. But TO went on 95.7 The Game with Bonte and Shasky earlier this morning on the Morning Roast to discuss a bunch of different things. And of course, you have a Hall of Fame wide receiver on the show. You're going to ask him about the current state of the San Francisco 49ers wide receivers. And it honestly was a conversation that started about Juwan Jennings and how well Jennings is playing and what he's bringing to the table and how it's seemingly like Jennings is the top wide receiver right now for the 49ers, which hasn't been the case in the past when it's been Ayuk or it's been Deebo Samuel. And Terrell Owens kind of switched gears and started to discuss Deebo and maybe the lack of focus that Deebo has, putting his attention in other places. And then Deebo responded to that. So let's play it through. Take a listen right here. We'll start with the context and then we'll show you the response from Deebo right after this.
Jennings is the only guy that's got that nasty stiff arm that you had. I mean, you and him, obviously you were way faster and just a dynamic player, but I see a lot of the things that you brought in terms of that nasty physical breaking tackle stuff from Juwan Jennings. I love watching this guy play.
Absolutely. Again, like I said, I think the only thing that he lacks again is that breakaway speed. Taking, like I said, he has the physical attributes to do some of the to bring some of that physicality to the game. But obviously taking your short and intermediate routes, taking it to the house. He obviously has a catch radius. He can make plays. He can go up, like I said, take 50-50 balls and turn those to 80-20, per him. So again, I've seen that and watched it progressively. And again, this guy, like I said, he's going to make himself some money somewhere. I know he's on a, I don't know what his contract situation is, but obviously, like I said, he's auditioning. Obviously, he's playing well for the Niners. But again, if you looked at it at the beginning of the season, and obviously with the Brandon Ayuk situation, contract situation looming at that time, I told my son, I'm watching him play. I'm like, yo, he's playing like he's the $30 million a year type of guy. And Brandon Ayuk, like I said, come back. I don't know if it was an in shape thing, but obviously things factored in the way that they did. But again, Jennings was like I said, the lone bright spot of that offensive unit of the San Francisco 49ers. And again, like I said, if he's right now is a focal point. Obviously, they got Kittles. Again, I hear he's been battling injuries here and there. Deebo is not really playing up to Deebo standards. Deebo seems like he's more focused on his pregame attire than he is actually the game. So again, if we can shift that focus, maybe that can energize and create some more production, from an offensive standpoint. I'm just kind of tongue in cheek with that.
So I mean, that's definitely a take by Terrell Owens. And, I would imagine that, with how this season has gone, and we have to be honest with ourselves, this is a production-based business. If you don't produce, especially fans are going to come after you. It is what it is, especially with the 49ers fan base. And so based on early responses, let's restart this. Let's take a look at now Deebo's response to what he just said. So as you can see, Deebo says, T.O., cut it, fam, and then drop the ninja emoji. So, this is my take on it. I think that Deebo probably shouldn't have responded. Just let it go. Especially when you're a player in the NFL, you got a podcast, dude. Everyone's gonna comment on what you got to say and what you're doing. And I get where Deebo's coming from. He's like, bro, why are you talking about me? Like, why you got to critique me like that? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where players have an issue with some of these critiques, even if they're coming from former legends. And, T.O. probably knows Deebos, met Deebo on occasion. And, I don't know how good of a relationship they have, but, it's like if you were to say, Deebo isn't playing to his standard, he isn't producing at a high enough level. And it seems like he needs to kind of lock in, engage, and kind of focus up and play at a little bit higher of a level. I think, former players, who are listen, players are critiqued all the time inside their building by their coaches. So they're used to critique. It's when I think critique turns to criticism is where they typically have a problem with it. And so when T.O. elicits, Deebo's pregame fits, which have also gone viral this year, I think that's probably where he's got a problem with it. I guarantee you Deebo would be the first to tell you he's not playing well. He went on his podcast, said this is the most frustrating year for him personally. I would imagine it's pretty frustrating for him, especially considering it's what I would consider to be a contract year for him. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of frustration, not only with how he's been playing, but with how the team has been playing and everything in between. So, yeah, it's kind of par for the course, man. I'm curious to see how fans feel about this. I see a lot of people saying Tio's right, giving their takes. So I'm curious what your takes are on this. Again, just another thing in the 49ers land to kind of distract us from the ultimate goal. Feels like this year can be defined by distractions. You know what I'm saying? Like dating back to the off season, in season, there's always something. There's always something. Again, as a 49ers content creator who's tracking everything that's going down with this team on and off the field, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's never a dull moment with this team, literally ever. And that continues. Obviously, we had the whole Brock Purdy situation going off today, and people trying to, we're trying to figure out like what's going on with that. Now, you got T.O. going on the airwaves saying, Brock or Deebo's got to focus on his play more than he focuses on what he's going to wear that day. It's just like, whoo. Man, we live in a what you've done for me lately society, and right now I think a lot of people would agree that Deebo hasn't done enough for them lately, and they want to see him produce at a higher level, especially with no Brandon Ayuk out on the field, and they want to see him more involved in the offense, and they want to see him, present more of a challenge to defenses. And again, it's a contract year for Deebo. He's got no more money guaranteed on his deal beyond this year. He'll likely either get an extension from the 49ers or could be a kind of like a sign and trade situation where another team can negotiate a contract. They trade compensation and then Deebo goes signs elsewhere. There's been already a lot of conversations, not only in the offseason about Deebo's future, but like last week, I think you had NFL reporters speculating on Deebo's future with the San Francisco 49ers beyond the season. So it's tough, man. It's a tough spot to be in when you're not winning. It's a tough spot to be in when you play for a franchise like the San Francisco 49ers that have a very, very high standard. And when you're, not being perceived of meeting that standard, a lot of people are going to talk about it. So kind of it is what it is situation, but I am curious to know what you guys think about all this. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.